Welcome everyone, the Autogefühl friends. A very unpleasant weather today, but with a pleasant car here in Germany. This is a Maserati Quattroporte, and as the name says, it has 4 doors, you see, obviously. So welcome to the world of luxury today. We will have a very emotional review here, although we have these bad conditions. But with this beautiful car in this very dark blue color, very beautiful color in my opinion, we will have a lot of fun and explore all the features that this car has. So what I love about the Maseratis is the Trident logo, which is all in this very huge front grille in black. This is always a signature. And in this case, the new headlights, this car is now from 2013. In the 6th generation, the headlights are now dynamically drawn to the back a little bit. So it's also quite a nice feature. What is remarkable about the hood, it doesn't have a central power dome. The power dome kind of goes inside, so you have kind of 2 power domes, right and the left, and the lower part in the middle of it. In my opinion, it would be nicer that it's just the other way around, but I think it's also something different. When we look at the side profile here, what is remarkable is that you got this fake air outtakes here, but they're covered in chrome, so it's a nice design element. These ones are, by the way, the 20-inch alloys with winter tires here now. I think they're also nicer alloys picked, but of course you have a lot of choices to pick from. We have a very huge car here, 5.26 meters, but we still have this coupe line here, and there's also an additional small window added right here at the back. And I think one of the most beautiful features with this huge sedans is that you also got this home crawl cover, which is framing all the windows. What is a little bit cheap, I think, are the door handles. They don't look too nice. It's, and also when grabbing them, I've seen better, there's a lot of play up and around. I've seen better one here. Going on the back, I've always explained it with the Ghibli review. Also check the Maserati Ghibli review. So this is the upper class, the Ghibli is the upper middle class, so way shorter. Also has this logo right here. That's just the feature you maybe buy Maserati for, that you got something like that. From the back, we weren't too content with the Ghibli back, with the rear hatch. But here, again, because it's a huger car and also a little bit more broad, I think the rear looks a little bit better than of the Ghibli. But still, I must say, looking at the headlights, it could also be a Japanese car. So I think for the next generations, they should think about something more. The first Maserati Quattroporte, by the way, was introduced in 1963, so 50 years ago, and now it's the 6th generation. The car is about 100,000 euros or dollars each. The diesel we got here, it's a V6 diesel, 3 liters and 275 horsepower. This is the cheapest version actually, and there are also 2 petrol versions with a V6 or with a V8. The petrol versions have 400 or 500 horsepower then. So these are the basic facts, and now let's take a look at the interior, because this is kinda, in my opinion, the most special feature about this car. This is one of the very special cars. You can talk so much about the interior, and in my opinion the interior of a car is always more important than the exterior. You can argue about it, of course. I'd love to hear your comments about this thought of mine. But you know, most of the time you're sitting inside the car, and so you also see the interior. And I think this is also a reason to go for the Maserati than for the German premium manufacturers, because in this case here, it's all more exciting and something all extraordinary. Just from the optical side, I'm talking more about the agility of the steering wheel later on, but just from the optical side, I think it's so beautiful. We got the Trident logo in the middle of it, and then always this feature here, which is kind of fitting to the Trident. It's going from, you know, here it is broad, and then it's going slimmer here with the aluminum. And we also find that in the key, for example. I can pull the key out. Here at the key, you know, we have kind of the same. It's like at the steering wheel, and I think it's such a great feature. In my opinion, this key here is the most beautiful key in all the automotive industry. You know, we also always show you also the Porsche keys, but in comparison to that, this one, they have made it heavy, so it feels more premium worth. The Porsche keys are very light, and they're basically, well, they have a nice shape, like, you know, a shape like a car, but they are cheap, you know, cheap plastic, cheap black plastic. And this one here is heavy, has this chrome style texture here, and so it's, you know, it's almost like buying a diamond, this key. And you can always, you know, if it's too heavy to hold in the hand, you can put it here in the center console. So about the steering wheel, which is not so nice about it, are these plastic buttons here, and also when you press them, you know, it doesn't feel like very fixedly attached. It's reminds me really of a Fiat. And the same is also, there are keys here behind the steering wheel, for example, to turn up the volume or to change from radio to Bluetooth audio. It's also not kind of that kind of worthy. What is good is actually here the shifting columns for the. We got an automatic transmission here, but still you can put 1, 2, second, third gear and so on, and also down again. This one is executed quite well. They are very huge, yes, but they don't have this cheap texture we, for example, find in the Jaguar F-Type. I'm out about that. Then the instruments. I can also show you in the close-up quite soon. They're covered with a blue background, which is of course my favorite color. In this case, it's also fitting to the exterior color, as well as the analog clock here. Also got this blue background. Maserati tends to do that, and I think it's very good. Also gives you a nice contrast to the dashboard, for example, and to the seats. I'm not sure how you really see it in the video, but it's not all black. It's a very dark brown color, and that is, you know, this brown color to the blue. That is such a nice combination, in my opinion. Then we got the classic Maserati wooden cover here. This is a dark wood here with a shiny surface. I tend to go for the wood elements which are matte on the surface, because they are not kind of when you put your fingers on it, you don't see any stains on it. But in this case, it's of course also very elegant, and it's just, you know, your personal taste to go for the dark, matte or shiny wood, whatever. And then also the central console is covered in it. I also expect that of a luxury car. And then we have several options to store, for example, the key in it, or to open the basement garage, or for your drinks, for example. And then here in the middle part, also very nicely covered. I would have expected here that you can put something deeply in there, but it's obviously not possible. It's maybe for an iPhone that would fit here when it's without a case. Or credit cards, for example. And I'm not sure if your purse is fitting in there. It depends on how much money you got in the purse. And usually when you're driving this car, you should have a lot of money in the purse, otherwise you wouldn't drive it. Then there's also a lot to talk to you about the seats. They're basically, of course, you can expect them very comfortable, I must say. They get several functions, and you see this one here has different surface than here. This is just one plain surface, and here we got the small holes in there. And this structure is needed so that the seat cooling is also working. So there's a ventilation system that helps you in summertime, or, for example, also in the wintertime when you do it at the same time with the seat heating. Let's actually try that, because in some cars it's actually possible that you get your clothes dry, that you put the seat heating on and the seat cooling at the same time. Let's just try that if it's possible. Okay, seat heating. No, it's actually not possible here. So one more factor to moan about. Why not combining it? So here you can either pick seat cooling, the seat ventilation. It's not actually, it's more ventilation than the cooling. But you can either pick between heat and cold. So, you know, this combination feature, Audi offers it, for example, that you can combine both. So it's not possible here. So then again, back to the overall seats. What's quite remarkable here, I think, there's a lot of lumbar support. Also, when the additional lumbar support is not activated fully. So just in the basic situation of the seats, you have a lot of lumbar support. So if you basically like this lumbar support, here just in the back, then you're very content with the seats. Otherwise, you might get a little bit problem. You have to test drive it before. And then, of course, you have to strengthen it again. So, and then one more critical feature is when you put your head against the headrest. I can better show you here. It's kind of a little bit loose, in my opinion. It doesn't feel, you know, so premium-like. But what is very special about the headrest is that you got the integrated Maserati logo in there. And this is kind of stamped in, and that looks just so beautiful. And it's one of those very small features you buy a Maserati for. When we look at the ceiling, we don't have a panoramic roof here, which I would pretty much like. It is, of course, available, but you see here, we get a nice Alcantara roof. And in this case, I must say, well, it is bright, you got the Alcantara, and well, that makes you a little bit forget about the missing panoramic roof. And there are also some more details, for example, that the handles here, the door handles at the upper side, you know, when you have a little bit faster driver than for the co-driver can hold on to here, it's also covered here in leather. I'm not sure if this piece here is real leather. It feels like real leather, but in my opinion, such parts where, especially where the ones where you don't sit on, I think you can also use artificial leather even in a luxury car. That's just my personal opinion. So that's a lot about the front cockpit. By the way, what was very remarkable also in comparison to the new Volkswagen Passat, I now realized why the Passat is so beautiful from the inside and where they have the design from, I think. Because you see here, with the vents, and also, this is not a vent, but here, and there, it's kind of one straight horizontal line. And I think it reminds me a little bit of the Passat, but of course this car has been here before. So that might be one reason why the new Volkswagen Passat is also looking that elegant from the inside. Exactly this kind of scheme is also conveyed at the side of the doors, and we had the same in the Maserati Ghibli, for example, that the side of the door has this chrome element and goes straight to the door handle, also very well executed. So you see there's so much to talk about it here in the interior, and when you're driving the car and stopping at the traffic light, you can always see some more detail, and you can be very pleased about that. About the infotainment system, directly you can access the seat heating, 2 levels, high and normal, as well as the seat cooling, which is optional, by the way. Also 2 different levels, also for the co-driver. But then if you want to access anything else, you first have to press accept, and I think that's kind of a little bit annoying. Then what is very good, that everyone understands it immediately. Telephone, GPS for navigation, climate functions, seat heating, for audio and the radio. That's really okay because everyone understands it. But of course, it's the same system that is used on all over the corporation, Fiat, Jeep, all cars they have. And I'm not sure what a Maserati customer will think about if the same system is built in a Fiat. So I'm not quite sure about that. And also just the visual appearance doesn't seem to me much premium worse, you know. It looks a little bit old school, and I think it's not kind of worse for a Maserati. I would have expected something more elegant here, just from the optical side. From the technical side, I must say I'm quite content with it, because first of all, you realize everything directly where something is. And then again, the speed is also okay when zooming in, zooming out, controlling the GPS, so the speed is really okay. I had some problems with the Bluetooth connection, not for telephoning, you know, but not for speaking, but for playing the music. So the first time I connected the music player to it, it didn't work. Then I restarted the engine, then it worked again. But I also had it in a Jeep, I think. So that's maybe one standard flaw of it, but eventually it works. One neat feature is that you control the brightness of the central display. See, that's maximum. That's minimum. It's good because when you drive at night, you rather want to dim it, so your eyes don't really adapt to the bright instruments, and when it's very sunny outside, you can turn it up, and then you can see it better. You see, it also works here for the left and the right side, and it's controlled right here. This is for the instruments, and this next to it is for the ambient light. We cannot see it right now, it's still bright, but the ambient lighting goes around here and also at the other side, at the co-driver, and also at the inside of the doors. That's a very nice feature. This is the rear view camera. It's always good to have it, but the angle is not quite right in my opinion, because I don't really need to see the license plate. I rather would like to see the vehicles that are behind me, and I can't really see them when the angle is so far down. Also about the brightness, when something, for example, a little bit of rain is covering the camera, or it's very bright, at night you can't really see it. So the resolution and also the brightness of the display is also not perfect. So I think they could also work on that. So, and of course, the Maserati Quattroporte is also a chauffeur car, 5.26 meters long, and basically the main function is to drive along one person, because then the front seat can be moved way in the front, and then you also have unlimited space for your legs. If you use a car with 4 persons, by the way, when I have the driver's seat, for me, I'm almost 190 meters, if they have the driver's seat fitted for me, and then go right back to the driver's seat, then kind of the knees and the seats I connect almost here, so there isn't too much space for the knees, but it does still fit, of course. But I mean, even in some compact cars you have this kind of leg space, and so I would have expected a little bit more of that then. But then, of course, if you got the co-driver seat all in the front, that's kind of how you're usually chauffeured, then it doesn't really matter. Then it's more about how comfortable the seats are here in the back. And I must say, I'm not a big fan of chauffeuring in sedans anymore, because for these full-size SUVs, for example, if you drive in a Range Rover long wheelbase, you sit upright. And here always in the big sedans, doesn't matter if you're a Hilux or in the S-Class or the R8, you always tend to fall a little bit to the back. Okay, you can say maybe you can use it to relax, but I think it's not kind of the optimum seating position for humans in general. But of course, it is very nice and comfortable here. I would have expected a little bit more length of the seating area, maybe for tall people. But then again, you get nice luxury features here. You also got enough headroom. This is the basic difference between the Quattroporte and the Ghibli. In the Ghibli, you can almost forget the back seats, even if it's upper middle class, because the headroom is not enough for adults. Here it is. Here in the middle, you can pull down one case. You got USB here, and also some energy, and here for your drinks. But I'm not sure what they thought about that, because if you maybe put a coffee in here, it doesn't really go down. It's all, it's still in this angle that something could pour over. Not well executed in this case, I must say. But then you got another nice technical feature, And that is, you can control the climate for each passenger, warmer and colder here, also the vents, and where the air is coming from. We first got the intake, for example, for the feet, and then also the vent here at the sides. You can control where it actually should come from. But I quite wonder here, here you can either feet or the upper vent, and here is for both. So that's how it works. And then there's also the seat heating. 2 levels of seat heating you can have here for each passenger. And then there's a button here behind me when it's maybe very sunny, too bright, or you want to sleep, whatever. Then you can darken the whole interior with that. That's a very funny feature, and you can always impress your guests with it. And there's some more. You can pull this one up here as well at the side. And then you have it really dark and relaxed here. Maybe if you want to watch a movie on your iPad, for example, or maybe just want to relax. And then, of course, when you pull it down, before pulling the window down, this one goes down again. And there's also the button to let more light in the interior again. Just a short look at the trunk. Opens very suddenly, especially now with the wind here. I think that's not a good solution. It kind of flips open. And that is due to these handles here. They look a little bit cheap, I must say. And also here again, I think it's not the best solution. Maybe an electric opening or something which is better hydraulically dampened. Then again, it is, not very high, so you got very limited space here, but it's very deep. But in general, it's not a loading wonder. What is very neatly done here is this extra case here. And there you get all the security stuff in here. For example, the first aid kit. That's a very clean and nice solution from Maserati here. But in general, don't expect too much of the luggage compartment. And close it again. And one small stop here in our basement garage to show you the engine. There's basically not too much to see because the engines are all covered nowadays to reduce sound and coming to the inside of the cabin, and also to prevent anything to enter the engine, anything, dust or something else which could annoy the engine somehow. But we got a nice Trident logo here as well. I think it could have being a little bit more spectacular, but because in this car you tend to open the hood and look what's beneath it. But at least one nice logo here. And then one thing I must say, which I have the experience now from the basement garage as well. We got one major problem here when going into the basement garage. Well, of course, the car is very wide, so it's not too easy at the first end. But then, approximately here at the side here, the car is very low, and the wheelbase is, about 3.20 meters, so way above 3 meters the wheelbase. And that makes you a problem that the car is very low at the side part here, and you feel there's a soft cover beneath to protect the car from below. But then again, you only got this kind of space here, and because the cars had that long and this kind of wheelbase, when you're going over a ramp, it scratches the ground. I think it's not really dangerous for the car, but I would expect some solution that this doesn't really happen, because I think the only part that is scratching the ground is something which is not vital for the car, but only protecting the car from below. But still, I think this should not happen. So about driving the Maserati Quattroporte. There's a nice feature when just going in the car, so you have a very easy access, because right now the steering wheel is lifted upwards and the seat is backwards. So easy access, and when I start the engine now, very nice thing is happening. See, the steering wheel is going down in my position where I had it last time, and also the seat is going back to the position in the front. Now I'm at the steering wheel and can control very well, always. Most people don't sit too far backwards, so you really have to sit quite close to the steering wheel that you can pull it around with both hands and back again, that you can react in very dangerous situations as well. Now about the shifting lever, it's all electronically. There's a button here behind that. I have to press it and then pull it all the way down to D, and then we can drive. Right now we're just in normal mode of the diesel, so it's very silent, and altogether, you know, the whole sound isolation is very good. So you almost hear nothing from the outside. Right now there's very stormy weather outside, a lot of wind, but you hear nothing here inside, and that's really something remarkable. Also in comparison to other premium cars, is very well done here. Maybe you heard that small click sound. That was actually the automatic closing of the doors when we reach about 20 kilometers an hour. So that's also a safety feature, because, you know, there has been some incidents where people were pulled out of the car when they were, for example, stopping at a traffic light. So now it stays closed all the time until you open the car again, or you press the unlock button. The steering wheel is quite huge, quite big, so it's not really a sporty feeling. Also when turning here around, right and left, no really sporty feeling. It is a big sedan, yes, so it's basically more about luxury driving and cruising. But still, you know, it's a Maserati, and Maserati says, okay, we are a very sporty brand. So I would also expect a more sportier steering wheel. Just the design of the steering wheel is very beautiful, but you know, it's not that sporty. But however, because it's so big, it also feels like it would cost a lot of money. Because small steering wheels, they can be very sporty, but also tend to be a little bit cheap. So it depends on what you like more. So when standing still here as well, we hear the diesel, but you know, you can't really hear it's diesel. And there's also this very special sport feature, because when we go in the sport mode here, the sound of the diesel also changes. You can't really hear it when you're standing still, but as soon as you accelerate, this V6 diesel 3 liter also sounds like, for example, a V6 petrol engine, and that is done with a sound generator. It's, you know, if you think about it, if it's the first time, it's maybe a little bit awkward, but it actually works. It's really a sound generator that is filtering out the good noises, the very pleasant noise from the exhaust, and then giving it via speakers to the inside of the cabin. And well, it's, you know, it's a very, very funny system, but it really works and boosts the fun when driving with this car, because you still have a diesel with a rather low consumption, and at the same time you have this very great sound. So that's a very nice experiment. We already had it in the Maserati Ghibli as well. I remember you again to check that video, it's in the video description. It has the same engine in it and also with the same sound generator, and it worked as well. So when I press the throttle now, I'm not sure if you can hear it here via the microphone, but it's, you know, a very sound roaring and very low sound, I must say. But that's very fitting actually, because, you know, you must remember how does this sound evolve actually? You know, it's first from vibrations and then from the air, from the gas that's actually flowing through the exhaust. So these are the two factors basically generating sound at a car. But here it's not kind of the case. You don't also have that very high vibrations, and they also want to keep the sound down basically to make the engine more silently, and also the exhaust because of regulations as well. And then you must think about, okay, but we still have to add some feature that people can have more fun with the car, and think this is a very good solution for that. So, a lot of red traffic lights again, but here in the Maserati, it's always nice also when stopping, because you can look at this very beautiful interior, study all the nice design lines, how it's all well executed, way along the dashboard. So I think this is a very nice feature, as well as the analog clock. You can, when you're at the traffic light, you can check, oh, how late is it? I don't have to, there's always a digital clock as well in the instruments. But you have this very beautiful Maserati analog clock as well. What about the agility of this car? You must remember it weighs 1.9 tons. So it's a really heavy car actually, and you also feel that in the corners, especially when you're going faster. Also the steering wheel is not that sporty, and in general the steering, I'm not that quite content with it because it feels rather artificial. When standing still or for example in the parking lot, it helps you because you can steer very easily. But you need a lot of turnaround, so there's no progressive steering. Also, I think a factor I think I'm not that happy about. You see it, for example, here when I'm now turning here in the turnabout. I have to turn the steering wheel way around. I mean, you know, at this progressive steering, even for example in the Volkswagen Golf or Seat Leon, you would maybe have needed half the way or something like that. So it's really not what you would expect from a sporty brand here. Also the turning circle, I'm trying it here on just on one point here at the moment, is very huge. I mean the car is 5.26 meters long. You can't expect more, I guess. You have to live with that. And I must draw a comparison here to the Maserati Ghibli. It is another class, yes, but I must say the Ghibli is really way more sporty and also feels better from the steering. So maybe one conclusion I can already draw here when driving: if you don't need extra space in the back, but want that Maserati car, you maybe should go for the new Ghibli instead of the Quattroporte. That's just my opinion. I'm not sure. What do you think about it? And then again, okay, you can always enjoy this very silent driving, but you, as I said, you shouldn't expect this sporty feeling from the car. The weight difference between the Ghibli and the Quattroporte is about 150 kilograms, and you mainly realize that when braking, because the Quattroporte, I must say, is way worse in braking. There you all feel the weight, but because of the huge torque, almost 600 Newton meters of the diesel, it's always fun to accelerate, and you hear this very nice sound. Directly get a boost. And there you don't feel the weight because the engine is just so powerful. So in general about driving, I must say it's not that sporty feeling. There are also in the upper class sportier cars, for example the Audi A8, although it also looks very classy and all the stuff. The A8 feels more agile, I must say. From driving, I would more compare to the S-Class, because the S-Class also feels very, very heavy, the Mercedes S-Class. It's really more for this superior flying on the road. However, I must say also the German manufacturers are better when it comes to the suspension, because here, as long as the road is very good, you have no problems and you feel very comfortable. But when you have a lot of bumps, especially when they go across the road, I also realized when driving the Ghibli, the bumps are kind of transported into the steering wheel, and then you feel it, and the whole car feels a little bit, you know, not fully controlled. So I'm not very content of the suspension when it comes to these bumps that go across the road. I think they have really to work on that, and they are just the German manufacturers set the standards. However, of course, you have a more emotional interior, in general a more special car. So to conclude about the Maserati Quattroporte, if you compare it, for example, to the Mercedes S-Class, BMW 7 Series or the Audi A8, this one is definitely more extraordinary about the exterior and also especially about the interior design features, so you have really something special. So I would prefer it in this case, I must say. But if you look at the agility or, for example, the suspension, just the technical features, then I must say the German brands are better in that case. However, I'm very satisfied with this diesel, also with the great sound it has. That makes a lot of fun, and also the consumption is still quite okay. You end up with about 10 liters in 100 kilometers. However, in the Maserati Ghibli, it's only about 8 liters. And this directly leads me to the Ghibli again, because I would like to tell you, if you think buying a Maserati, You should go for the Quattroporte when you need the chauffeur car, or for example, if you really need the space in the back for further adults, for example, or for your bigger family or whatever. But if you don't need the space in the back, I would rather go for the Ghibli because it's way more sporty and way more agile and feels like the, you know, more current, more newer car, which is better to control and also offers more driving fun than the Quattroporte. But in general, still a very elegant car, and I really enjoyed driving it, even if you got some of these Italian flaws with it. So thank you very much for watching Autogefühl again. I appreciate your feedback and I hope to see you at more of our videos. And next time, I hope in sunshine without wind. Thank you very much. Bye guys.